Today, we're going to dive into everything about Faker. Hope you enjoy. You know, when people talk about Faker, or Lee Sang-hyeok to use his real name, they usually focus on the trophies. They talk about him as this gaming god who just spawns into the world, wins everything, and makes it look easy. But honestly, that's not even half the story. The real story of Faker isn't just about a genius who succeeded. It's a beautifully painful, decade-long drama about a quiet boy who grew into a global icon, lost everything, faced brutal humiliation, and then literally reinvented himself to rewrite sports history. Let's go back to the very beginning, to a time before the lights and the roaring crowds. Born in 1996, young Sang-hyeok wasn't a loud or expressive kid. He was raised by his single father and grandparents in a humble household in Seoul. He didn't have much, but he loved reading books and solving puzzles. When he discovered League of Legends, he didn't even have enough money to buy skins for his characters. So he just played with the default models, a habit he famously keeps to this very day, even as a multimillionaire. But by 2012, this mysterious amateur using the nickname Gojumpa started absolutely destroying the Korean solo queue. There's a famous story from back then. Professional players would literally check if Gojonpa was online before queuing up, because if you played against him, your rank points were as good as gone. He was playing like a literal cheat code. SK Telecom T1 saw this anomaly and signed him immediately. And on April 6, 2013, the world was introduced to a new name, Faker. His debut match was pure shock value. He solo killed Ambition, who was the undisputed best mid laner in Korea at the time, in just 6 minutes. Think about that for a second. A 17-year-old rookie executing the king of the region while casually eating a snack between games. And then came that legendary Z versus Z mirror match against Ryu later that summer. With almost zero health, he moved so fast it looked mathematically impossible, turning a certain death into one of the most iconic outplays in esports history. That play was so traumatizing for Ryu that he later joked it forced him to leave the Korean region entirely. That same year, Faker lifted his very first world championship. A god was born. During 2015 and 2016, it was just total, unadulterated domination. International casters couldn't even describe how untouchable he was, so they gave him a nickname that stuck forever, the Unkillable Demon King, Busidamo Wang. In 2015, his team steamrolled through Worlds, losing only a single game the entire tournament. In 2016, they won it back-to-back. At that point, everyone thought Faker's reign would last forever. The throne belonged to him and him alone, but the universe doesn't let anyone stay at the top forever. In 2017, the game shifted into the notorious Ardent Sensor meta, a playstyle that stripped away a mid-laner's ability to carry and put all the power into the bot lane. Faker literally dragged a struggling SKT roster by their collective collars all the way to the grand finals in Beijing. But willpower wasn't enough. They were swept 3-0. And right after the Nexus exploded, the camera caught something we had never seen before. Faker burying his face in his hands, weeping bitterly. There is a heartbreaking detail from that day. As he walked off the stage, he turned back one last time just to look at the trophy he couldn't protect. The god had fallen. He was human after all. What followed was a brutal 5-year exile. Between 2018 and 2021, Faker lived through his darkest timeline. New hyper-aggressive superstars from China's LPL were rising. Domestically, his team was crumbling, roster changes were constant, and he was even repeatedly benched by his own coaches. During this time, a famous clip emerged of Faker in a psychological counseling session, where he confessed under tears that the pressure of being Faker was suffocating him, and that he felt like he was losing his identity. The internet turned on him. People mocked him, saying he was washed up, a relic of the past, and that his career was over. For any ordinary player, that would have been the retirement cue. But Faker didn't quit. He took all that criticism, sat in silence, and did something incredible. He completely demolished his old, selfish assassin playstyle and rebuilt himself from scratch into an unselfish, macro-focused commander who played for the team. And that painful transformation is exactly what led him to the legendary ZOFGK era, teaming up with a group of young, incredibly talented rookies who were practically young enough to be his little brothers. Zeus, Honor, Gumayusi, and Keria. Faker became their anchor, their leader. But then, the summer of 2023 brought yet another disaster. Faker suffered a severe right-hand wrist injury. He couldn't even bend his fingers properly to grip a mouse. Forced to take a hiatus, T1 completely collapsed without him, losing 7 out of 8 matches against bottom-tier teams. The team looked completely lost, like a ship without a captain. It was devastating, but it proved an undeniable truth to the entire world. Faker wasn't just a player with good mechanics. He was the actual brain, heart, and soul of T1. When Worlds 2023 came around on Korean soil, every other Korean team fell early. T1 stood completely alone, surrounded by 4 dominant Chinese teams. It felt like an impossible movie script. In the semifinals against the tournament favorites, JDG, Faker pulled off the play of the decade. With T1 on a razor-thin edge in Game 3, his Azir executed a psychic-like drift, shuffling the enemy's star carry Ruler into oblivion. The stadium exploded. T1 went on to win the finals 3-0, and 7 years after his tears in Beijing, Faker lifted his 4th trophy, this time with a massive smile on his face, holding it up with his younger teammates. And you'd think the story ends there, right? A perfect redemption arc? But Faker just kept writing. In 2024, despite severe cyber attacks on their facility that ruined their practice schedule, he dragged his team to London and won his 5th World Championship, securing the finals MVP, and then came the absolute pinnacle. At the World Championship in Chengdu, China, he faced their historic telecom rivals, KT Rolster, in an absolute 5-game bloodbath. In the final, nerve-wracking Game 5, with the pressure of the entire world on his shoulders, Faker put on a masterclass, pulling off an unbelievable team fight that left the casters screaming. With that victory, he did what no one will ever do again. He achieved the Three-Peat. 3 consecutive world championships, 6 global titles in total. From a 17-year-old kid to a 29-year-old legend, he had achieved absolute immortality. Why is Faker the undisputed GOAT? It's not just because of the 6 trophies or the millions of dollars. There is an anecdote that encapsulates who he is. Despite his massive wealth, his monthly personal spending is said to be less than $200. He doesn't buy luxury cars or expensive clothes. Instead, he spends his time reading history and philosophy books and quietly donates hundreds of thousands of dollars to charity every year. When asked why he doesn't use skins in the game, he simply said, "I hope young kids who can't afford skins can look at me and realize they don't need them to be the best." He did not survive because he was a god. He became a god because he survived every failure, embraced every scar, and chose to keep playing. We are living in an era where we get to watch the Michael Jordan or the Lionel Messi of gaming write history in real time. The throne is still occupied, and as long as Sang-hyeok is playing, the era of Faker will never truly end. That's all from Mango. Thanks for watching. Bye!